What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Here's the Deal, episode 20. With you, as always, I'm your host, Michael White, here with my boy, David. David, what's good?
What's good, man? How you living, G?
Hey, man, I'm living pretty good. Free agency has been wild. Boy, has free agency been wild, man. It's just been a lot of crazy shit happening.
Have you recovered from the breaking news? Have you been able to recover since then?
Look, man, it was rough. It was rough, but I've recovered. My Lakers have recovered. I'm just glad that the man made a decision. It was just taking too long. It was taking way too long. I was ready for the decision to be made to know whether, hey, either we gonna have this dude Kawhi on the Lakers or we're not. I was glad when he finally came out and says, I was mad. I called you when I was in Atlanta. I was like, yo, I can't believe this shit. But the other side of me was happy it happened. So, yeah, man, I'm good.
Hey, I mean, it came out while it's taking them so long. The biggest news of probably this may be one of the major moves we've seen since probably Miami. Like when Chris Bosh went to Miami, then LeBron went to Miami.
Right.
This was probably even more out of left field, being that, hey, we know Paul George, he was on contract. I believe he had like 2 or 3 years left still, so that was way out of left field. When you see that Kawhi commits to the Clippers, and then 5 minutes later, what was reports, Paul George gets traded to the Clippers. It's one of the more memorable nights of free agency for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely been wild. I can't even. Paul George literally just signed an extension. They just threw this man a whole concert and party during free agency last year for him to say he's staying, just for him to okay a trade to the Clippers. Man.
Hey, it ain't loyal out here, man. Russ learned hard. Nobody wants to play with Russ, man. It's tough. He's like that kid in the park who, he got a bad breath. He got a bad breath. Nobody want to be around him right now.
Man, the shit is just crazy. But with that, looking at the decision that Kawhi made and looking at the Clippers as a whole with their team, with Paul George, with Lou Williams, with Montrezl Harrell, how do you like this Clippers roster? Where do you rank it among the rosters? Do you think this makes them a title favorite? How do you like the overall moves that they made?
Well, I love what the Clippers are doing. They doing exactly what they need to do. They finally got some stars in LA to compete with the Lakers, being that you are in that stadium. So 82 nights that stadium's going to be jumping. And then when the playoffs come, hey, you're going to get plenty of revenue. So business-wise, hey, they did what they needed to do. They get 2 LA kids that have – Paul George has a chip on his shoulder, and Kawhi is just – he's going to bring it every night. You don't have to really question what he's going to do. So having them on the team with the people that they already had from last year, you bring back Beverly on a deal that he likes. You sign Zubac on a deal that he likes. So I like what they're doing. And obviously you have Lou Williams on a discount contract. I believe he's still getting like $7 million a year. So that is probably one of the best contracts in the league right now. So they're making out great on everything they have. I think they can use a tad bit more depth, but they picked up JaMychal Green the other day. So they're starting to fill out this roster. They traded for Hartless. So they got a couple other role players that can play a key role come playoff time. And coaching, obviously, Doc Rivers is going to put these players in places there to be successful. So Paul George, he's not going to have an issue, or Kawhi Leonard. I see them both load managing throughout the year, being that Paul George has recently dealt with a little bit of injuries, and we already know Kawhi Leonard's not interested in anything but the playoffs. So look forward to that throughout the year. But they're definitely going to be one of the top teams in the West already. We already know that.
Yeah, just putting my Lakers bias aside, Clippers have a great roster. You're led by Pat Bev, who may be the best on-ball defender at the point guard position as far as guarding other point guards. Then you have 2 guys in Kawhi and Paul George who might be 1 and 2 of the best wing defenders in the league. So I think they're easily probably going to be the best defense in the league. I think you're going to see teams struggle to score against them, especially more perimeter-built teams. Then, like you said, you got a guy in Lou Williams who has the most points coming off a bench scored ever in NBA history. So you got somebody who can just get buckets at the end of the day. You got Montrezl Harrell, who a lot of people like. He's tough. He's gritty. He can get on the offensive boards. He can make some things happen. You was telling me about old Landry Shamet. Yeah. They got a shooter. They got a shooter in here. I'm gonna be nice right now because the Clippers are a respectable team. I'll give them that. They got a young center in Zubac from us for nothing, pretty much, who's skilled, who can score. And last year, I think he was one of the top 5 centers as far as defense towards the end of the last season. So that's good as far as rim protection. So the Clippers have a great squad. I'm not going to lie to you. The only weak point I see in their team is you do have Montrezl Harrell, you do have Zubac, but you don't really have a lot of size out of there. Although Montrezl Harrell is good, he's only 6'8" at the end of the day. He's a smaller sort of big man, so a guy like, I don't know, Anthony Davis could go to work on him with ease. But you have a guy like Zubac as well, who has some height on him, but he's not really a big guy, not a lot of girth there. So I think that's their one maybe weak spot I see. But overall, with everything they did all season, this is exactly what the Clippers wanted. This is why they were showing up in Toronto to all the Kawhi Leonard's games. They wanted to bring in a max star. They brought in 2 of them. They traded away all their damn draft picks for the upcoming future to get Paul George just to get Kawhi Leonard. So at the end of the day, I think it was worth it, especially when you're a franchise like the Clippers, who's never been known for anything but losing.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about their defense size-wise. I think Paul George, he's about 6'10". Kawhi is a good 6'8".
Paul George is not 6'10".
He's a good 6'9", 6'10". He's pushing 6'2".
Oh, I gotta look his height.
He's pushing 6'10". And he has extreme length. We already know that. He's gonna be able to guard. He's gonna be able to guard a wide range of players as you switch throughout Pat Bev to Kawhi Leonard to Paul George. This is reminiscent of the Bulls, man. This is reminiscent of that type of defense. And I think Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have the potential to have something like a Jordan and Scottie Pippen type of duo. I really think they have that type of potential.
I mean, I think there's similarities between the two. Obviously, you got 2 premier defenders just like you did back then. But, I mean, I need more from Paul George in the playoffs. Pippen gave it in the playoffs. We knew that. He was coming. You know what I'm saying? Once he reached his peak, he was coming to playoff. Paul George has been a great regular season guy, and then in the playoffs, he leaves more.
I'm not gonna let you do Paul like that. Who's better, Paul George or Scottie Pippen? Who's better?
Who's better?
Who's a better player? Yeah, Scottie Pippen or Paul George? Who do you want on your team?
Oh, give me Scottie Pippen. Give me Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen's better than Paul George. Are you serious right now? Are you serious?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What has Paul? George
it's
done?
debatable.
What has Paul George done in this league to tell me that he's better than Scottie Pippen? What has he done? Name one thing. Tell me the feat he has done. Nothing.
Hey,
it's nothing to play.
Being top MVP voting don't matter. Being a defensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen did that too. When the years Jordan was out, he was in the MVP discussion. All of that. Tell me.
I don't want to hear that. That team was weak. I don't want to hear that.
They won 55 games. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, you have Phil Jackson still there. He's going to win games.
But I'm saying Scottie Pippen has done exactly what you...
Was he averaging 28 points?
Hey, look, I can look up what he was averaging.
Yeah, look it up. Was he averaging 28 points? No. Scottie isn't messing with Paul George on the offensive end. And defensively, Scottie, I don't know who's the better defender. They could... All time, I mean, yeah, Scottie has the resume, but... Paul George is definitely, give him a few more years, he'll have that same type of resume and he'll be up in there.
He'll have the same resume. Remember what you just said. Paul George will have the same resume as Scottie Pippen.
I'm talking.
Remember that.
Defensively. Offensively, it's no question. I'm taking Paul George. The only thing Scottie may have over him is playmaking.
And defense. He clearly has defense over him.
It's not clear. No. You also have to think. Scottie had Michael Jordan playing next to him the majority of his career. Paul George never had somebody else like that next to him. Playing with Kawhi Leonard, we're actually going to be able to see Paul George blossom into the second. He's best as a second player. He's best as the co-star. So I think he's going to thrive in this role. Because Kawhi Leonard's probably going to draw the best defender on the perimeter, right? And then you'll have Paul George, who's either has somebody smaller or just not as quick as him. So in isolation, Paul George is going to eat. Those late game situations, you got him. You got Lou Williams. They got plenty of people that could go to in the clutch. So I think Paul George is in for a breakout year. Even compared to what he did last year, he may play even better. Or maybe the same level, being realistic. Probably the same level.
What has Paul, again, we're talking right now. We're not talking what could happen, what you think is going to happen, what should happen. We're talking right now. Paul George's career does not compare to Scottie Pippen's. So I'm not taking, he may be the better offensive player. Yes, that may be true, but he's not the better defensive player. I'm not taking him. There's no way his lack of production in the playoffs. It's evident. He's missed game-winning shots. He's been the butt of every joke. You know his commercial in the Gatorade. You know when he hit the game winner, people were killing him for that because we ain't never seen him hit a game winner in the playoffs. Stop it. He gotta earn it. I agree with you. Now look, I agree with you that this could be a year where we may see something like that. By the way, Scottie Pippen's MVP year, he averaged 22 points a game, 5.6 assists, 8.7 rebounds, and where's his steals at? Oh, and 2.9, almost 3 steals a game. So, like I said, Paul George is a better scorer. So his points production was definitely there, but Scottie Pippen was there in almost every other stat right along there. So I'm not willing to give Paul George that over Scottie Pippen yet, even though he has the potential. A lot of guys got the potential.
Okay, let me read this off. Paul George last year, 28, 8.2, 4.1, 2.2 steals. So it seems like he's right on line, if not better, if you ask me. And he's shooting that pill way better than Scottie Pippen was. So give me Paul George. He's been in the league 9 years. He's going to be turning 29 this next year. So he still has a good 5 years of solid basketball, especially playing in a team like this. The Clippers, they're going to be able to stagger his minutes and put him in position to be successful. Having a coach like Doc Rivers, he's never had something like that. Playing with Billy Donovan and Frank Vogel weren't. We gonna see. We gonna see what Frank Vogel do with these Lakers. I give you that. Okay, we'll see what he does with this talent he has. But those type of players don't compare. Those type of coaches don't compare to the coach that Doc Rivers is, a proven champion and a player's coach. He's played in the league. He understands how these players operate and what's best for them. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be a new year for Paul George. You keep throwing all that shade. My man's had his arm was off of his body throughout the playoffs this year, and he still played pretty decent.
David, I just want you to say, for everybody listening right now, I just want you to say it. If Paul George is better than Scottie Pippen. If that's how you feel, then
Paul George is better than Scottie Pippen.
All right,
he will be better than Scottie Pippen.
I hope so. He got a lot of work to do. He got a lot of work to do. He got let him win.
They win 2 rings in the Clippers. He's better than Scottie Pippen. For sure. Easy. That's not even a debate.
2 rings. That's all it takes, huh?
That's all it takes. With the Clippers, yeah, that's all he needs. He's not playing as Michael Jordan. You gotta remember that. I mean, Kawhi's pretty damn close, but still not Mike, and he still don't got Phil Jackson and all that. And he is on the back end of his career. So, I mean, he's probably entering his prime. Last year is probably the first year of his prime for real. So, I mean, maybe he continues to get better.
So that would put Paul George at 2-0. You do realize Scottie Pippen. You do realize his ring count, right? I'm just making sure.
Yeah, I understand the ring count, but when ring count really, you can use it for secondary players, but you mostly use it for the primary.
But I'm saying, Scottie, pretty much, Paul George is going to be playing the same role that Scottie Pippen played to Michael Jordan. So even if he wins 2 rings, Scottie Pippen is still 6-0. You're not putting that man over him. Yeah,
but that's playing with that team, right? You got to realize Paul George is turning 29. He's only going to play maybe 6 more years. So obviously he's not going to go 6-0. He's not going to go 5-0. They're going to lose at some point.
That ain't Scottie's fault. Oh that ain't Scottie's fault.
You're right. He fell into the right situation. But at the end of the day, individual talent, give me Paul George. If I'm starting a team, give me Paul George. All right? Ready to move on? Ready to move on?
Let's move on. Hey, make sure you guys comment. I need to know right now who y'all think. Paul George or Scottie Pippen? Who's better right now? Who's better?
Start that right now.
Who's better?
Who's the better player?
Who's better? But
in those YouTube comments, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. But let's move on. We spent a lot of time on that. We just quitting into this episode. I like it though. So let's go. Let's hurry up. Let's get into the biggest losers from this. So we all know Kawhi's decision came down between the Clippers, the Raptors, and the Lakers. Some people like Chris Broussard was saying the Lakers was in the lead. Some people like Jalen Rose was saying the Raptors were 99.9% in the lead. Turns out all these nobody know what they're talking about when it comes to this guy Kawhi Leonard, unless your name is Uncle Dennis. Nobody. He ended up going to the Clippers. So I'll ask you, who is the biggest losers between the Raptors and the Lakers in the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes?
Well, the Raptors, they ended up doing the best one year rental deal. They got a championship, got their first basketball championship ever brought to Canada. So they made out good in the deal. But as far as free agency, they did have an opportunity to maybe keep Kawhi Leonard. Apparently, there were reports of them getting Paul George and possibly Russell Westbrook. I say they didn't want the report said they didn't want to trade Siakam. So that catches me off guard. I would probably do that trade if I get Paul George and Russell Westbrook. I assume maybe Kyle Lowry's in the deal and like a Marc Gasol and some picks, maybe something along those lines, because they're probably going to rebuild. So maybe just Pascal, Gasol, and some picks. But I'm making that deal if I'm the Raptors. I want to keep Kawhi Leonard on the team. As far as the Lakers, I mean, you just want the team that you want to go to. There have been reports that he didn't want to go to your team. He was having meetings and telling y'all to move all around LA because he wanted to meet with Paul George afterwards. I already told you what was up. He's doing some ghost recon. He wanted to see what was going on within the organization. Make sure he knows, hey, how we got to tap them come play all time. What's they plan? Were they gonna put LeBron at the point? All right. Make sure y'all sign back Pat Bev so we can have somebody to get under LeBron's skin. But hey, the biggest loser in all of this is the Lakers. They're the biggest loser in all of this. They do not get Kawhi Leonard, who would have took them over the edge. We see how they're filling out the roster with the little bit of money they do have, even though you give Danny Green $15 million, that man is robbing y'all. So whoever his agent is, shout out to him. But yeah, you don't get Kawhi Leonard. The Raptors, obviously, they're going to take a step back, and I don't see anybody going to that team anytime soon. But the Raptors will be okay. They'll be okay. They're a team they're a state, a country that's not based around basketball. So at the end of the day, their fans are still going to ride for them. You're still going to have Jurassic Park going crazy. Siakam's on the come up. Fred VanVleet. You still have Gasol, Ibaka. So they'll be competitive this year. They'll definitely make the playoffs. I think just the Lakers, they were waiting around for Kawhi, and they didn't get him, and that makes you a loser. and y'all were really banking on that. Y'all signed like one player while y'all were waiting for him. So y'all were really waiting for that deal, and it just never got done. So I said the Lakers are the biggest loser.
All right, so here's the real answer. The real answer is the Raptors are the biggest loser in this, and I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why. First off, the Raptors have nothing else. Siakam, are we ever going to – do we think he's going to be the player that Kawhi is? You're never going to get a player – let me finish. You're never going to get a player like that in Toronto ever again. Have we forgot that the Lakers have Anthony Davis, already have LeBron James? Kawhi Leonard was just the sprinkles on top. We already got two max guys.
Now Kawhi's just the sprinkles on top.
Listen, no, let me finish.
You have to relax.
Let me finish. Shut up. I listened to you talk that bullshit. Now you gonna hear this. Because you're saying we're the biggest losers because we didn't get Kawhi. So we fall back on Anthony Davis and LeBron James. The Raptors don't get Kawhi Leonard. They're falling back on Van Fleet and Siakam. So you're telling me that Van Fleet and Siakam are better than LeBron AD? Stop the madness. The Lakers are fine. Yes, we missed out on a lot of free agents, but you know what we also missed out on? Signing a lot of bad contracts to a lot of free agents that are probably not going to be worth the money that they signed for. Harrison Barnes, $85 million, 4 years. I'm glad we're not in this situation. Seth Curry, another guy we was looking at, he got paid over a couple years. So I'm glad we missed out on some contracts. Would I have preferred a Corey Joseph? Yes, but not for, what did he get? 2 years, 45 mil, or like 3 years, 45 mil? Whatever his contract is, the point is it was overpaid. The Raptors have nothing to fall back onto when the East just got better, when the Sixers just acquired Horford and Richardson, who are looking better, when you still have Giannis. You have no go-to scorer super. No, let me finish. Stop it. Let me finish. I'll let you talk. You have no go-to guy on the Raptors like the Lakers do, and Anthony Davis and LeBron. You have two top 5 players, arguably top 10 players in the league right now. The Raptors cannot say the same. So at the end of the day, they lost this trade, not the Lakers. Lakers is good. Their Lakers are still getting talked about as title favorites. Can you say the same about the Raptors? I'll let you go off that.
How many playoff series wins does Anthony Davis have? Can you answer that question for me?
I think he only has one.
Okay. Okay, how many playoff series wins does Boogie have? Not including this Warriors run.
Why are we not included? He played for the team, didn't he?
He only played in one series and he lost that series.
Probably none. One? That
Yeah,
one?
none.
Yeah, one.
None. Where he played one game, man, right? So you bring in all your star players, they don't have a lot of experience. Kyle Kuzma as well. Hasn't played in the playoffs.
Wait a minute.
They're three best players after LeBron.
Your argument for the Lakers started with how many playoff series has Anthony Davis won on a team led by LeBron James.
Oh my goodness.
What?
LeBron has to pass the torch, man. He's getting old. He's not going to be able to carry that team the way you may think he will be able to. So he's going to have to depend on Anthony Davis to a degree. Like, he's not going to be able to just carry that team the way he did the Cavs. This isn't the East. This is the West. He has to have a supporting cast.
We don't expect to. That's the point of putting him at point guard. We don't expect him to carry us. We expect him to control the tempo of the game and get Anthony Davis, the young 26-year-old who was just averaging 27 and 12. While you saying we lost the trade? What? What are you talking about?
I didn't say y'all lost the trade. I said y'all lost and not getting Kawhi Leonard. You also have to look. This is what you're missing. You didn't let me get to my point. Y'all let him go to the other team in your own building. It's not like he stayed in the East. It's not like he went to another team. If he went to the Warriors, okay, maybe. I mean, that still would have been a blow, but this is the Clippers. You let the Clippers get Kawhi and Paul George. That was also the consolation of getting Kawhi. You got Paul George as well. He turned out to be quite the recruiter. Even though nobody thought Kawhi would do that, he did that. And now they're competing with you in your own stadium.
Yeah,
so how y'all about that?
We're talking about what they could do as opposed to
what they will do.
Okay, so say it right now. Are the Clippers going to win the championship? Are you that confident in them without seeing them? You ain't even seen them play a game and you already cupping their balls. Give them a second. Let them breathe. We ain't seen them do nothing. We ain't seen Paul George perform in the playoffs yet like we should ever since that injury. He's been missing in action. Kawhi Leonard is great. I understand that. But let's not pretend that Golden State wasn't hurt and they're all together. The Raptors are losers. Let's not pretend if Joel Embiid isn't healthy in the playoffs, they might probably lose that series. Let's not pretend. So let's see these players actually play some games before we dub them the winners of this. Like, I understand, but this is the Clippers. What do they have to show for it? Nothing. Nothing. They have nothing. They have nothing to show for it.
Anthony Davis is 26, right? Paul George is 28. 2-year difference.
Who's had
more playoffs? You bring up the playoffs. No.
Answer that. Who is better, Anthony Davis or Paul George? Answer that, please.
You can't compare the two.
Now we can't compare the two.
Okay, you want me to compare Anthony Davis to Paul?
Oh my God!
You really want me to do that?
Who would you rather have, Anthony Davis or Paul George? If you're doing a fantasy draft and there's Anthony Davis and Paul George are still on the board, who are you taking, David?
It depends on who I have playing point guard.
It depends on if you're smoking crack or not.
No, it depends.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis can't dominate a game. Like, he can be dominant in the statistical category, but he's not going to lead you to those wins. Like, it's a guard-driven game. If you can't have the ball in your hands for a majority of the game and control the pace, the same thing you're talking about with LeBron. LeBron didn't have the best team every year, but he did have the basketball 9, and he's allowed to control the game.
But
Paul George has that ability.
That's the beauty of it. Anthony Davis is not being asked to dominate the game. He's going to be asked to score with LeBron James. Who on the Raptors can put up numbers compared to that?
LeBron and the two teams. We're comparing how did free agency go. You're missing how it went. Who lost and Kawhi Leonard picking the Clippers?
So I'll ask you this. Today, right now, after the dust is settled, who is a better team and who is better off after not getting Kawhi? The Raptors or the Lakers?
The Lakers are.
I know. Oh I know. You said it. You said it for me.
All right, man. All right. Let's get into the next topic because you're not going to agree on this one. So, how do you think the Lakers made out filling out the rest of their roster? Y'all made some good additions. What do you think?
I think we did a pretty good job. Like I was telling you before we started recording, I wish we had a couple more 6'9", 6'8" wing guys to guard guys like Paul George, to guard guys like Kawhi Leonard. But I do like Avery Bradley. I do like Danny Green. They play defense. Those are both all NBA type of defensive type of guys. I like Quinn Cook. I like him as a shooter, KCP. We improved our shooting a lot. We have a lot of shooters. That was a big problem for us last year. couldn't knock down threes when we needed to. So we improved that a lot. We get some defenders. I like what the Lakers did considering who was left. I think DeMarcus Cousins, he's a high risk, high reward type of guy. You know, it's a risk because sometimes he can be a liability on defense. And sometimes you question his game and does it fit into the style of the NBA. But high reward as well. He can be very effective when he's hitting his jumper and he's passing the ball, he's getting involved. He could be, hey, this guy was a 5-time All-Star. So obviously he does something, he brings something to a team that can help them. So considering that we literally waited forever for this man and everybody and their mama signed the contract, I like what we ended up with. I like the way we filled out the roster. This team, I think this is an upper 1 through 4 seed in the West.
Yeah, I agree with you. Y'all made out well for your situation, waiting for Kawhi. So y'all ended up, like I said, y'all gave Danny Green the bag, which was a little questionable. You gave KCP the somewhat of a bag. Y'all been paying him the last 3 years. He should have came for the vet minimum and gave Boogie his contract.
That's the consequences of having LeBron, clutch client. You got
exactly. Y'all been paying him for some years just cause. Like gave him $20 million, I think, 1 year. So y'all been tripping for a minute now. But I don't like having KCP. But when you bring in Avery Bradley and Danny Green, if he's not playing good, you can just sit his ass on the bench. So I'm not mad at that. You bring in back Alex Caruso, Rondo, Quinn Cook. All those are good additions. Rondo has familiarity. I really like Alex as a player. I think being on this type of team with all these stars, he may, he'll probably take a step back compared to what we saw those last, say, 20 games where he started to get a lot of minutes and dunking on players and really started showing the league what he's capable of. But I think as a coaching staff, if they're proactive, he's a young player. You got a whole bunch of vets. Give him those minutes. See if he can do what he did those last 20 minutes. And if he's able to do it with Anthony Davis, LeBron, and all these other players, you just found another hidden gem that can help you in the playoffs. So I'd really like him coming back to the team. I think where y'all, like I told you earlier, where y'all really struggle, where y'all want to add another player would be in the front line. You have Boogie, you have AD, you have JaVale McGee. But we know something's gonna happen between Boogie and AD to where they will miss games, whether it's load management or injuries, knock on wood. But either way, they're gonna miss some games. Between the two, they're probably gonna miss 25 plus games. So I say you have to get another frontline player just as insurance for them. So I think y'all did make out well. You got some shooters. LeBron's playing point guard. I really love that. I feel like he's been doing that his whole career. It's just now you give him the label of playing point guard. He won't guard point guards, that's for sure. Because otherwise, he's giving up 35 a night. And I'm just letting you know now. But I like what y'all did. I just like to see y'all get another center going for it. Or like a power forward. Something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind another big man. I mean, you can never have enough of guys who can go in there, pick up fouls, and get rebounds for you. So I wouldn't mind another one. But I will ask you this. With LeBron, it's been announced he's moving to the point guard position officially this year. Do you think this team is built around him perfectly for them to be successful? Do you think he has a legit shot at getting another ring with this squad as presently constructed?
As presently, can he get a ring this year?
Yeah.
Can he win a ring this year? He can.
Are they contenders?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Lakers are definitely contenders. I'm not gonna say they're not. You got Anthony Davis. You got LeBron. I respect the talent level. You got Boogie. I think he's going to be great this year. A lot of people, talking to one of my friends, he's like, oh, Boogie's not a star, which is a damn lie. He still is a star. He came back average 16 to 8 in like 25 minutes. So he, even with the limited time playing with Steph Curry and everybody else that needs the ball, Steph Curry, KD, playing with a whole bunch of other great NBA players, he's still able to come back off of a torn Achilles and give you that. And then in the playoffs, I think he was going to play great. We saw him have his great moments. We saw him have his down moments. I think game 2, he really came in great. After KD went down with his Achilles injury, Boogie was the only one that really showed energy. I think he saved that game for them. So the 2 games the Warriors won, he was productive. So I think this year, him having a whole year to, get back in shape, don't play him on back-to-backs. LeBron's going to give these guys the nutrition plan. He's going to give them a way to make it long into this NBA. He's going to give them all of that. Like on those other teams, they didn't have that type of guidance. It's more so, playing it by ear. I'm trying to do what's best for the team. Even though Boogie is looking for a contract, but ease yourself back into it. Come around All-Star break, he'll be back to, obviously not 100% Boogie, but he'll be back to being a star in this league. He'll be back to averaging 18 plus, I think, and 10 rebounds. So definitely get back up there. So I think having this team, y'all are definitely a contender, though. Kyle Kuzma's development is crucial, though.
Yeah, I would agree that. I'm glad you said that right at the end. I think Kyle Kuzma, now that we know that he's pretty much the de facto number 3, his development is just so important. He cannot shoot 30% from 3 this year. It just can't happen. That's what he shot last year. He shot 36% his first year, and then he dipped down. But he's just he's a streaky type of shooter.
Yeah.
But what I do like about him is just his ability to score easy. Me and you were talking about it. With LeBron's passing ability, Kyle Kuzma, he scores a lot on a lot of down screens, a lot of slip screens, a lot of things like that, just moving without the basketball, cutting to the basket. That's the one thing I like about Kyle Kuzma, that when he gets points, when he has those nights where he gets like 35 or 38, about 27, 28 of them are just easy buckets. Everything else is, him pulling up and things like that. It's not a lot of ISO balls. So I think his setup jumper just in the corner, that's going to have to improve this year. He's going to get a lot of open shots. When you got AD commanding the attention he does in the paint, and then you got LeBron running point now, so you have to put a bigger guy on him, he's going to draw a lot of attention, and you're going to have to knock down shots. Half. The Lakers are going to need probably 18 again from Kyle Kuzma, which is what he gave them last year, but definitely a more efficient 18.
Okay, yeah. I feel that because AD and LeBron, they're going to be able to carry the load, but they're definitely going to need some help. And those are your two main scorers. It's going to be between Kuz and Boogie. So I definitely feel that. But let's go ahead and get into a top 10 duo, man. You want to start or should I start?
Go ahead. Let me hear your top 10.
All right. So my number 10. So we're going to give y'all our top 10 duos going into next year who we think just, player for player, playing together. I think these are my top 10. So I got Luka and Porzingis as my number 10. I got Embiid and Simmons, Jokic and Murray, Dame and CJ at 7, Giannis and Middleton at 6.
Okay.
Steph and Clay at 5, Harden and whoever's on the court at 4. I mean, obviously, we're going to go with CP3. But whoever's on the court, James Harden's going to have them top 5. That's all I'm saying. But third, I got KD and Kyrie. Second, LeBron and AD. First, Kawhi and PG.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Who'd you have at? So the one thing I know with my list that I did a little different was, even though we did say consider everybody healthy, I did not consider Klay Thompson healthy. So I have a duo of Steph and D'Lo on here. I have Steph and D'Lo on here. I got it. Yeah, they're in my top 10. But let me just get into it. I'll show you how my top 10 shaped up, and we can talk about it. So at number 10, like I just said, I got Steph and D'Lo. They've never played together, which is why I got them at number 10. But I think the potential is there. These are two guys who can knock down shots, just like Steph and Klay. Steph and anybody really deserves top 10 consideration, considering what we've seen him do by himself. Video game numbers is what I expect from him next year. So
you put D'Lo instead of Draymond?
Yeah, I put D'Lo. Draymond he averaged 8 points last year. I can't.
All right, respect.
I put Steph and D'Lo. At number 9, I have Giannis and Chris Middleton. Giannis, MVP. What can I say about him? Middleton, he was an all-star last year in the East. I'm not really huge on him, but there is familiarity there. There is chemistry there. I feel like Middleton's the best shooter on that team. They look at him like that. So I have them there at number 9. At number 8, a new duo that formed that I'm already putting over Giannis and Middleton just because I like the fit. I got Michael Conley and Donovan Mitchell. I think this is going to be a great fit. Michael Conley's the most underrated point guard in the league, hands down. He's been stuck in Memphis for all these years. Now we get to see him play some competitive basketball. And Donovan Mitchell, the boy they compared to D-Wade coming into the league, he is an amazing scorer. He gets pushed out of that playing that point guard role because Ricky Rubio was always goddamn hurt. Now he can go to his natural shooting guard position. He can shoot the ball. He can attack the basket. He's aggressive. I like that duo.
Hold on. I gotta stop you.
I like that duo.
I gotta stop you, boss. You said over Giannis and Middleton, you got Michael Conley and Donovan Mitchell.
Yep, I think they fit together better than Giannis and Middleton. Yep, already.
And over even Steph and D'Lo.
Yep, I think they fit together. They're better defenders than Steph and D'Lo, and they're better shooters than Giannis and Middleton. They fit together. They can play off each other. Conley and Mitchell is going to be. I think Utah is a dark horse team for me. They're going to be a nice squad.
All right. I can respect it because you're right. The defense, and they probably will play good off each other. I'll let you slide with that one.
Yeah, so that's why I got them there. So at number 7, and I'm not really a huge fan, but I'm gonna give them the respect. I got Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. I got them at number 7. I put them above these other 3 teams because I was actually impressed by them in the playoffs last year. I'll be the first to admit that. I thought they were going to lose in the first round versus the Spurs. I thought they were. I mean, they did end up losing the next round to the Blazers, but I thought they played well. And I saw something from Jokic that I have been telling you I wanted to see. I wanted to see one of those nights where I don't want to see you doing all that passing and shit. That's cool, but I want to see if you can dominate in the paint and go get your team 40 when they need it. And he showed us he could do that. So I got them at number 7. At number 6, I got Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Now, I got them at number 6 right outside my top 5 because it's a lot to be said for Simmons, who still needs to develop a jump shot. I feel like he came back basically the same guy, just another year of knowing what's going on in the league. But he was the same guy, and Embiid was the same guy. But at the same time, those same guys are still very talented. Simmons is a dual threat. He can lock up. He just needs to work on his shot. Obviously, we know about Embiid. He was in the running for MVP for a little while this year. He just needs to work on his injuries. Obviously, last time we saw him, he was walking off the stage crying. Yeah. But it's okay. They're going to come back stronger. Any given night, Embiid is 24 and 10, 25 and 10.
Hey, Embiid can give 30 and 15 right quick.
Yeah, real quick. He's actually a big man who hits his free throws, which is something I really like about him. So, yeah, I still got them at number 6, Embiid and Simmons. So, my top 5. Number 5, I got Dame and CJ. I love Dame and CJ. They get buckets. That's what they are. They're bucket getters. They're the driving force of the Portland Trail Blazers. They've now been to a Western Conference Finals, so it's time to put a little respect in their name. I got them as the number 5 duo in the league. At number 4, James Harden and Chris Paul. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about the chemistry issues. Is this guy getting traded? Is Chris Paul gone when they get along? I get it. But when they are playing, that's 55 wins easy.
When James Harden's playing.
Yeah, James Harden. James Harden's about 50 of them wins. Chris Paul is about 5 of them things. So even though they had their problems, and this year, like I said, you guys switched to more of an ISO-centric type of offense. What I saw the year before from those two, the way they played off each other, the way James Harden used to let Chris Paul run the offense and things of that nature, it was poetry in motion. It was unstoppable almost because you don't know who to guard, and Chris Paul can create for anybody. So I still respect them. I got them at number 4. At number 3, where's my number 3 at? I lost it. I was just looking at it. Oh, there it is. At number 3, I got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Now, Kevin Durant's hurt. He's out. So that was a little bit involved in this decision. I might have put them higher, but I'll just base it off what they could be. It's going to be some crazy games up in Brooklyn if these two are healthy. We're going to see so many type of shots and ISO-type shots going.
I got to see that. I got to go and see that in person.
It's going to be it's going to be like a game at the Rucker or something, yo. They just going to be going off, yo. Like, your turn, his turn, your turn. So that's going to be crazy to see. I hope KD comes back and Kyrie actually has some good chemistry with these guys while he's in Brooklyn. So I got them at number 3. And number 2, I got LeBron and AD. I got LeBron and AD at number 2. Now, why do I have them at number 2, even though I just told you AD is miles better than Paul George?
Yeah.
I got them at number 2 for 2 reasons. One, you do make a good point. I have to see how long AD is going to play this year. Will he stay on the court? Was he sitting out a lot with these knick-knack injuries because I play for the Pelicans and we're not going anywhere? Mm-hmm. Or, and you're going to be in a spotlight now. It's easy to go get 28 and 12 in New Orleans. Now come on down to the Staples Center, put that purple and gold on, where you've had greats like Shaq and Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson.
Kareem.
Yeah, now it's time to see what's going to really happen. So, and then LeBron is year 17, and he's coming off his worst injury. You got to keep those things in mind. But if we're looking at it talent alone, I think these two guys complement each other perfectly. Putting LeBron at point is going to work beautifully. I think a pick and roll with LeBron and AD, you're going to have some problems stopping that. You're going to have some problems stopping that just because of how good of a passer LeBron is and how great of a defender AD is. So they're at number 2. At number 1, duos, I got Kawhi and Paul George, the two best perimeter defenders in the league. Two guys I wanted to come to the Lakers, and they're now in the Clippers, which is horrible. But I'm picking those two as my duo because Kawhi right now is the best player in the league. And if you have the best player in the league, as long as you have a somewhat decent option, you're going to be considered top in the league. And you have an option like Paul George, hey, you're looking pretty good. So that's my top 10. Any issues?
I did have an issue with at first the Jazz thing, but I came around to be okay with that. Embiid and Simmons being as high as they were. I had started out putting them that high, and then I thought about it. And Simmons is what brings this duo down. They don't, even just playing off of each other, they don't play great off of each other.
Right.
Simmons has to get a jump shot. If he does that, then I can move him higher. I had them ranked 9th. I had them, I think, below Giannis and Middleton, like I said. Below Jokic and Murray, Dame and CJ. I'm not sure if you had any of them ahead of them, but I had all of them. I had them all below them because Jokic and Murray, they already had playoff success. They had one of the best regular seasons. They had a better regular season than the 76ers, even though the 76ers may have been probably a more talented team. So I think these teams, Dame and CJ, win a lot of regular seasons games, went to the Western Conference Finals. The 76ers are at a point where if they don't live up to expectations this year, we're going to have some serious talks about how this duo works. And they did just give Simmons that contract. So Simmons is a great player, but he has a lot of deficiencies in his game that he has to work out. So until he does that, and Embiid, he does have issues at times too. He has to get in shape. He has to, he has to start shooting so many jump shots. That's my probably biggest issue with Embiid. Get in that 15-foot range and just go to work. Get him in the post. He can shoot over just about anybody. So that's my issue with him, and that's why I had them ranked 9th. I'm not sure. Where'd you have him?
I had them 6. The teams I had above them was I had Dame and CJ above them, Harden and CP3 above them, LeBron, AD above them, and obviously Kawhi and Paul George. But I don't really see a debate in anything you said. Simmons, again, just like I was saying with Kuzma, it's time to see you evolve. Right. What he's gonna do this year when he comes into is big. They just gave him the big contract. We know you can pass. We know you can defend. We know when you actually get aggressive and try to score, he's a pretty good player. We saw that at times in the playoffs this year. So I think that's huge for them this year. I just think though, with the way Embiid impacts the game offensive and defensively, that was enough for me to move them up kind of on my list. Right. And then we're gonna get into our playoff seedings here in a little bit, so I won't get too deep into it. But I had them at 6, but I have no problem with what you said as far as their games and what they need to work on, especially injury wise with Embiid and Simmons shooting.
Yeah, and then just Luka and Porzingis, I had them 10th, and you had, I guess, Utah. That's the team that I didn't have up here. So I like Porzingis and Luka more than I like that Jazz pairing. I think that's going to cause a lot of crazy pick and rolls. Luka, he going to average about 25, 6 and 6 this year. He going to capitalize on what he did last year.
Who?
Luka, 25, 6 and 6.
25 points?
25 points. How much did he average last year? Let me look it up. Go ahead.
I'm looking it up. I'm already in.
Yeah, hey, Luka's the truth, man. Who's stopping him? Tell me who's really stopping Luka. He averaged 21.2. 8 rebounds and 6 assists. So I'm probably cutting him short. He probably averaged about 25, 8 and 7.
I don't think he's gonna average 25 with Porzingis if Porzingis is healthy. I think Porzingis is gonna average the most points. I think what we might see is a dip in his points, but his assists and rebounds go up.
I mean, he took 16.5 shots a game, so that's probably not getting any lower.
Let me see how
I'll say
many
that.
Porzingis. Let me see how many shots did he take per game his last full season. Let's see. Cause all right, here it is. 2017-18, he took 18 shots per game. So he probably
Yeah, he could be the primary scorer,
yeah.
and Luka probably take 17 shots a game. So he'll still get his shots. I'll guarantee you that he'll still get his shots. Luka's the truth. Don't sleep on him. All right, don't sleep.
I'm not sleep. I like their pairing too. They would have probably just been next on my list, right there at 11.
All right.
We
Let's
did.
get
Oh, I see. Oh, my bad. Before we go on, I see none of us had Kimba and Jason Tatum or
none of that. No.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You ain't feeling that duo?
They gotta show me something. I'll stick with Luka and Porzingis.
All right.
I like that.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to our best fit for Russ. So let's move on to another possible duo because Russ is probably going to end up going to either Miami, Detroit. The Suns may be getting to this. I've heard the Knicks. So there's a lot of teams that's looking at Russ right now. He has somewhat of a market, but we're going to get into who you think is a good fit, who do you think is a bad fit. So let's start off with the Knicks, man. What do you think? Do you think he'll be a good fit if he was to get traded to the Knicks?
I think Westbrook actually fits in a lot more places than people think. It's just all about at what state is your franchise in. Mm-hmm. The Knicks aren't looking to win this year. And so if you bring on a guy like Westbrook who's going to win you games, you're going to get stuck somewhere in that, let's say.
They'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, but they'd probably be, a bottom East team? But would we take
8 seed.
Yeah, I wouldn't take them serious as a contender. So that's a tough place to be in because when you get your pick in the draft, it's going to be somewhere like, 20, 18? So you're not really getting a guy there. So I don't think he fits well with the Knicks in their timeline. I think they're young right now. I think they're going to stay young. You see they added guys like Julius Randle and people of that nature. They're a young team. They missed out on Kevin Durant. They'll probably wait to free agency to sign somebody. I don't think they're going to want Russell Westbrook. Well, hey, with James Dolan, you never know. But I don't like Westbrook there. I like their young team, their young core, what they got going on. What do you think about the Knicks?
I agree and I disagree. Where I agree is, keep the young core, let them develop. And it's going to be hard to get him to New York just off of the fact that they just signed about half of a team. So they can't trade those players till December. So you're looking at trading maybe Knox, Mitchell Robinson. Pretty sure they wouldn't trade RJ. So probably some type of package with those two and some picks, which I don't necessarily like. But especially pairing him with RJ Barrett. Getting back to that, pairing him with RJ Barrett, that's 40 shots between the both of them at least. So
easy.
Nobody else is getting shots on that team. And Russ playing on a team like the Knicks, he's not gonna have a lot of space. And Julius Randle, I don't know how you would play with both of those players, but he'd probably be the most efficient player. I'll tell you that much.
Everybody in the paint. That's all it is. There's a bunch of football players on the court.
He'd be the best shooter on their team. Julius Randle would be the best shooter on their team.
That's a damn shame.
So I don't like it as far as basketball wise, but I do like it from a business perspective. And when you're the New York Knicks, we just saw how they did this offseason. They weren't able to get a star. They striked out. They got Julius Randle, who's a quality NBA player, above average NBA player, but they did not get that star that they were looking for. So maybe trading for a guy like Westbrook attracts somebody else. So maybe you cut your losses and say, okay, he may not be the guy for us, but he will attract that guy for us. So that's where I see it as it could be a stepping stone to get somewhere further. So that'd be my only caveat with the Knicks if they were to make this move. It wouldn't be completely terrible in my eyes. And I mean, Russ has showed signs of letting up. So maybe, getting somebody, I think he's 31. He's starting to age on a contract the way he is. That could be tough as well. But if it gets you to, where the Knicks can at least be relevant, and by the time Russ retires, they can replace him, then, hey, do that. I wouldn't be mad at that idea. But what do you think about him going to Miami?
I think in Miami, well, look, when you're with a team for as long as you have, like Russell Westbrook, and the narrative around you is that you don't play well with others, you can't win with that style of basketball. Will you finally, when you lose a guy like Paul George and finally getting traded, does your mentality change? Will it change? Like if he goes to Miami, will he be more okay, I'm gonna pass the ball to Jimmy Butler more. I don't think so. So I don't think that's gonna work either. I think him and Jimmy Butler, they would get along to a certain degree, but I think their egos could eventually butt heads on the court because Jimmy clearly wanted his own team. He wanted to go to a team where he could be the guy. And if you bring in Russell Westbrook, you're bringing in a guy, like we said, who might shoot 30 shots tonight. You just don't know. You just don't know. So I don't like the fit in Miami. I don't like him going there. Now, business-wise, all these places, like you said, they sound good. Him and the Knicks, he puts butts in seats no matter where he goes. I just don't like the fit with Jimmy Butler. It doesn't work for me. What about you?
I love the fit with Jimmy Butler. I can only imagine the fights they'll have, but it's all
Right.
it's all gonna be for the betterment of the team. I can guarantee you that. So, I mean, if Russ can, I mean, we all know he's stat pads. Like, he's a great player, and getting triple doubles is not easy, but he does stat pad. And with playing with a guy like Jimmy Butler, he's all about winning. He's all about doing what's best for the team, and at the end of the day, trying to compete and get to the finals and maybe win a championship. So Russell, I love him going to the Miami culture. That's my biggest thing. Going into the Miami culture with Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, I love that aspect. They have the craziest workout routine at any NBA team, apparently. So having Jimmy Butler and Russ, that sounds great to me. Having those two lead young players like Justice Winslow and Bamba and whoever else they have out there, I really like that move. They'll probably trade a couple of them if they do end up getting Russ, but having him and Butler paired together, you have two dogs out there. They're gonna make the Heat relevant again. So the Heat are relevant. Let me not disrespect. They are relevant, but they will make them back into East contention. They may be able to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe even further. Because you put Russ in the East, maybe he does have more success. Playing in the West is no joke. So maybe if he goes out East, he'll have a little bit more success, and we can see Russ get back to the finals without KD or Harden. But I like him in Miami. I do like him in Miami.
Yep, we'll see about that one.
What other team we got? We got the Pistons.
Detroit.
Detroit.
Now we get somewhere where I think we might have a winner. I like Westbrook in Detroit. I like him. And granted, in OKC, he wasn't really in the eye of the public. But OKC, I tend to see their games a lot. I don't see a lot of Detroit games on TV.
Oh, yeah.
You rarely see that. So I like him going to Detroit. It's been reported that Steven Adams wants to go, or either he wants to go wherever Westbrook is, or he'd be a part of that package. So him and Westbrook with Blake Griffin, I like that. Russell Westbrook on the outside, you have Blake Griffin, a guy who can knock down a perimeter shot. So for a guy like Westbrook who likes to penetrate, that's someone he can pass out to. That also gives you an inside threat. You throw in Steven Adams, now you have a rim protector there and some familiarity with Russell Westbrook. And then one thing I like about that pairing is Dwayne Casey. I think Dwayne Casey would be a good coach for Russell Westbrook. And now the question has been Billy Donovan, could he do it? And who was their coach before that? It was I forget his name right. Scott Brooks. Yeah. All these guys have tried to coach Westbrook and doesn't seem to get through him. I like Westbrook getting with I'll just say it, a black coach like Dwayne Casey, right. a coach of the year, a guy who no nonsense and gets the best out of his players. I think that pairing would work really well. So Westbrook in Detroit with Blake Griffin, I'm all for it. Especially in the East, like you said, in the East. Hey, you never know. You catch the right break and you can find yourself in the NBA Finals. So right. that's the spot I like for Westbrook.
You make some good points. I like having Russell Westbrook, Andre Drummond, and Blake Griffin. It's gonna be a lot of dunking. My only issue is the shooting on that team. If you end up trading for Russell Westbrook, your best shooter is gonna end up being Blake Griffin. So
right.
they'll be entertaining. They'll put butts in seats, and the Pistons are a franchise that's been one of the more successful throughout NBA history. You have the Bad Boy Pistons. You've had the 5-man team with Chauncey Billups, Rasheed, Ben, all those guys, Rip, Tyshawn. Everybody knows those teams. So not seeing them on TV is kind of a shot. You put Russ there, you're going to sell tickets, you're going to be on TV. So it makes sense business-wise. But basketball-wise, I don't like it. I don't like it, but at the same time, the Pistons are kind of in compete now mode. They really don't have anything to build for the future at this point. So
right.
wouldn't be upset at it either. I wouldn't be upset if they made this move. I'm not sure. I guess you're still bringing Derrick Rose off the bench, but having those two guards, you can't really go wrong. So I guess I'd be okay with that move. It actually does make sense. Now I'm starting to think about it. It is the Pistons. You want to get a star in there, get somebody like Russell Westbrook. You'll have him and Blake Griffin both competing for triple doubles night in, night out. Let's get into the Rockets, man. The last team that apparently we may end up trying to get Russell Westbrook. I'm not sure how we would do it, but personally, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about this one. If we get rid of Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook, I'm not sure. I really don't know how I feel about that. They're both on not the best contracts, but they're both declining at the same time. Obviously, Russell Westbrook's still giving you those numbers, but I think if Chris Paul has the ball in his hands more, he's able to give you similar to the numbers that we saw in the past. Obviously, he won't be the main orchestrator of the offense, but he'll still be able to give us a good, solid 15 and 10 assists. He can still do that if he gets the ball enough. So I think we just need to tailor the system a little bit more towards him. And obviously, James Harden had a spectacular individual year, but if we put the ball more in his hands, I like us just keep rolling out with our team. And I hate the fit of James Harden and Russell Westbrook defensively. That's where my biggest gripe is.
Yeah, I mean, at times Westbrook can play defense. He's one of those guys. It's like, does he feel like it today? Because I've seen him lock up in the playoffs. I've seen him actually buckle down and try to play some defense. But yeah, defense.
Mike D'Antoni. With Mike D'Antoni, hell, I'm not here playing no defense.
Hey, the coach shouldn't determine whether you play defense individually. PJ Tucker still play defense, but overall, when I look at that choice, at first I was like, no, I can't see it. But in a weird alternate reality, multiverse, I could see it working. If you make Harden the primary point guard, and with Russell Westbrook, you have something else you don't have in Houston. You have another like elite slasher on the team who can get to the rim. There's not a lot of great finishers at the rim on Houston. Eric Gordon's okay, but he's not a great finisher. You get a guy like Russell Westbrook rim runner, now you have a great finisher. The only thing and with all those shooters, we know he can pass out of that. So, and he's a good playmaker. So I think it could work in a sense, but the only thing is that would work against you is he's not a great shooter, like we already know. And he's not a great shooter, and he falls in love with continuing to shoot for some reason. I don't know why, but he does it. So I mean, it'd be tough. The spacing would get a little messed up with him on the court sometime. But I think at times when you get in transition, he would be excellent for Houston. So yeah, we'll see. It depends on what you have to give up.
I definitely like him at the shooting guard position. If he does come, James Harden, he'll play the one. And the only thing, I mean, I guess if you have James Harden and Russ, if they're the thing is you'll have two ball dominant players, which I mean at this point that's kind of what our system is. It's kind of ball control, give it to our best player, and kind of let them work after that. So it could work. You have one player averages a triple double, the other averages 36, 7 and 7. So I mean, they'll be great statistically. I'm not sure how winning would go. I'm not sure how you play them next to each other. I don't know how I like the fit. It's like it could be so great but so bad at the same time. It's
tough because they're definitely a playoff team. With those two, you're a playoff team easily. It's just gonna get in those moments in the heat of the playoffs, on the road.
Oh God!
The game's close. The game is close. Who's gonna what's gonna happen? Those are serious questions you have to wonder about with those two guys in the playoffs. I think regular season though, when they're seeing Utah on a Tuesday, and then you might get the Lakers, but then you might get Sacramento on Friday. I think they're easily winning 50 plus games, easily 55, probably 56 in that range.
For sure, we the Rockets. We gonna be nice, all right?
Yeah, y'all gonna be all right.
But let's get into our last segment of the day, man. Let's get into our way too early.
Way too early. Let's do it.
We'll revise this as we get close to the season, but let's go ahead and get into it. You want to start with the West? Let's start with the Western Conference.
No. Let's do the East. The East is pretty much. Let's do the West last. The West is what we'll hear about.
Go ahead and start off with the East, man.
So in my East, you want me to give all 8?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so at number 8, I got the Orlando Magic. They pretty much running it back, brought everybody back. They were the best team record-wise after the All-Star break. I got them making the playoffs
That's,
again. Huh?
let's bounce off of each other. I'll give you my 8 now. So my
Okay.
8, I got the Hawks. I got the Atlanta Hawks. I think they're gonna take a huge jump this year. I believe in Trae Young. I believe in the young guys. They brought in Jabari Parker, which he'll add some scoring if nothing else. Defensively, they're still somewhat of a question mark. But being in the East, I think this team can make the playoffs. So that's my surprise pick coming into the playoffs is the Atlanta Hawks.
I like that. I don't have them in my bracket, but I think they have a good shot. They have a good shot. I like Trae Young.
Mhm.
At number 7, I got the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler. Miami, whenever they got a guy, they always seem to find themselves in the playoffs somehow. I think Jimmy Butler gets his team to the playoffs and they get knocked out in the first round. But I got them as my 7th seed.
Okay, I got the Toronto Raptors bouncing back without Kawhi. They'll still make the playoffs. They're still gonna be a competitive team. You got OG coming in. You got
Mm-hmm.
Fred VanVleet another year. Siakam. All these players should take another year into their development. Nick Nurse, he has a championship. All these players have championships under their belt. So a weight is lifted off of their shoulders, and they can continue to develop. And hey, Toronto has a ring, so they're satisfied at the end of the day. So 7 seed, they'll be okay with that as long as they're making the playoffs still.
Yeah, at number 6, I have the same team you just said. I got Toronto. Like you said, they're still going to be a top defensive team in this league, even without Kawhi. They're basically bringing everybody back. Now you bring Anobi back. They signed Hollis Jefferson, the guy I was talking about that I want us to get. They also signed Stanley Johnson, I believe, too, as well. So they've picked up some nice wing players. I mean, obviously, you can't replace Kawhi Leonard. And I think scoring will be their one thing. I think they'll be able to score, but, it's going to be tough. But I think as a defense, as a team, it's so much chemistry there. They're going to be a great defensive team next year. So I think they'll still make the playoffs at that 6th seed.
Yeah. At the 6th seed, I have a team that you already mentioned, the Miami Heat. I think Jimmy Butler, whether or not they get Westbrook or not, if he has Goran Dragic out there, he'll be able to get this team to the 6th seed. Eric Spoelstra, he's been a great coach. He's been the one constant in that team since, LeBron and Miami days. So he's earned his right to be a great coach, and he deserves that contract that he has. So I think he'll be able to get this team into the 6th seed. I think Miami, they'll be able to, challenge whatever team that they do play in the playoffs. It'll be a tough series for sure. It'll be you'll play Miami Heat at the end of the day, playing against Jimmy Butler. He'll win a couple games, and Eric Spoelstra's going to game plan to take whoever that main player is out of the game.
Yeah, so at number 5, I got the Brooklyn Nets. I think they're going to move up. I think they're going to take that 5 seed. Obviously, no KD here, but you got Kyrie, you got Dinwiddie, you got LeVert. That's a great trio of guards. You got a young center and Jared Allen who can protect the rim. And then you got DeAndre Jordan, another center who can protect the rim. I think he's overpaid, but shoot, he's going to do his job, and he hits his free throws now. So I like Brooklyn. I think they're going to have a good year, and it'll land them right around that 5 seed.
All right, I got for the 5th seed, I got Kyrie's former team, the Boston Celtics. I think they'll take somewhat of a step back. Mainly, you lose a talent like Kyrie Irving. Obviously, you replace him with Kemba, but losing Kyrie is still somewhat of a big deal. And then losing Al Horford, that's where they're really gonna miss that defensive presence, that leader in the locker room. And I think that's just gonna take them back at least, take them back 1 seed compared to last year where they were the 4 seed. So I think they'll be the 5 seed, the Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens will still keep them competitive. Hopefully, the young guys can take a jump.
Yeah, so same team, except I got them at number 4. I got Boston. You replace Kyrie with Kemba Walker, like you said. Hey, man, another guy who's going to have to prove it. He's been playing in Charlotte. Like I was saying about Anthony Davis. It's easy to get buckets out in Charlotte for the Hornets, while Michael Jordan watching. Let's see what you do for Boston, a team that's expected to win championships. So I think they're still going to be a good regular season team. Kemba Walker's going to win them some games. I think Jason Tatum. I think now that Kyrie's out of the locker room, I think the chemistry is going to be a lot better, and we'll see a team closer to what we saw the year prior, the team that got to the Eastern Conference Finals and went to a Game 7 with LeBron's Cavaliers. So I like Boston. I like Jason Tatum. The reason I'm not as high on them when it comes playoff time is that center position and taking out Cantor for Horford. it's gonna kill you defensively. I think they'll be good defensively out on the wing and in the perimeter, but inside, I think that's gonna be a problem they have to address during the season. So I got Boston at number 4.
Bringing in Taco Fall, he gonna anchor that
Yeah,
defense.
Taco might, he might, and they got Robert Williams, so they got some young guys that could get a chance to see some minutes.
Question marks though, right? Question.
Yeah, so, definitely.
My 4 seed, I have the Indiana Pacers. They're gonna be a gripey team. You bring back Oladipo. People forget how great Oladipo was. I think he's very underrated in this league. Extremely underrated. Those two-way players that can get you buckets on demand on the offensive end are completely underrated. It's not always about who can do everything on the court. So if you can be a specialist on both ends of the court, you bring in Malcolm Brogdon, who he can do everything on the court. We don't have to ask him to go out there and get buckets. So you got your go-to scorer, and everybody else can play their role. Miles Turner, apparently he's on the trade block sometimes he's not. So that's still up in the air, but you still have Sabonis. You bring in Jeremy Lamb. So there's still a good team and they're greatly coached. So I like them as the 4 seed.
Yeah, so we're getting close to where all our teams is hitting. So I got Indiana at number 3. That's the seed they were at for a long time while Oladipo was healthy, and they actually stayed in that spot for a while until they dropped towards the end of the year. For all the reasons you've already said, Oladipo, you bring a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, 50, 40, 90 type of guy, great defender. This team plays defense. They got Miles Turner, who a lot of people feel were snubbed from the all-defensive team. They got a lot of pieces over there in the East, and they got a lot of continuity. I like their coach. I like Nate McMillan. Indiana at number 3 for me.
Okay, so my third, a team that you weren't exactly too high on, I had the Brooklyn Nets. I think this team can shock a lot of folks. I believe in Kyrie Irving. I'm not one of those people that thinks what he did in Boston is representing of what he'll do with the Brooklyn Nets. I think being in Brooklyn, he'll be able to lead this team. Then bringing in Teron Prince, I think that's a very good underrated move that's gone under the radar. So I really like this team. I think they'll be strong come playoff time, and I think they can challenge one of these top 2 teams against the Eastern Conference Finals. So who you have for number 1, man? Who's your number 1 seed?
Oh no, we on number 2. We still got number 2.
Hey, who you have for number 1?
Why can't I get my number 2
first?
The
Bucks or the Sixers? Which one?
So at number 2, I got the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right, okay.
And number 2, hey, I mean, they bringing back pretty much their core of Giannis and Middleton. They bring back Brook Lopez, add Robin Lopez, the defensive Lopez brother. So I like their squad. You know, Giannis is an MVP candidate. We're seeing what he does during the regular season, so I expect them to be up there. So I got them at number 2. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Get your shit off. Go ahead.
I was just going to go ahead and say my number 1 at this point.
Go ahead.
Number 1, obviously, I got Philly. I got a good feeling about Philly. I know Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid aren't the perfect match per se, but adding a guy like Josh Richardson, who I think is underrated, I think a lot of people are going to actually get their first look at them, some of these casual fans who've never watched, some Miami Heat games. Josh Richardson is a solid player. He plays defense. He plays. He can shoot threes. He can get out on the break. He can run a little point guard. I like Josh Richardson added to that team. You bring back Tobias Harris. Obviously, there's chemistry there. A knockdown shooter, 20 points a game. And then you add Al Horford, and now you put him at the 4 position. Another big man who can shoot, guard other big men, guard perimeter players at times if need be, pick and pop guy. Now you could spread that court. Obviously, you got Ben Simmons who can play off him. A lot's going to be dependent on him, but I think this team is good enough to be the number 1 seed in the East, and I think they're the favorites to make the finals right now in the Eastern Conference.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that. I have the 76ers as my 1 seed. I think bringing in Al Horford, Josh Richardson, takes them to another level. Obviously, you lose your closer in Jimmy Butler, so come actually playoff time, because in the regular season, they'll be able to win the regular season games, but come playoff time, they may miss that closer. So not having Jimmy Butler could be the detriment to this team, but I do have them as the 1 seed. Hey, there's nothing really to be said. As long as Simmons isn't completely terrible and isn't the one liability out there, you already touched on Josh Richardson. Tobias should be a little bit more comfortable in this offense another year in. So number 1 seed at the 76ers. Definitely the best starting lineup in the East. They're starting to fill out some of that depth on the team. They'll be good.
Let's get to the real conference. Let's go.
The real conference. Let me close out. So the Bucks, I think they bring in the twins. You got the Lopez twins. You got the Antetokounmpo twins. They filled out the team pretty solid. You brought in Wesley Matthews, so they filled out their team pretty well. But they're not going to be the best team in the league again. I can almost guarantee that. Giannis, he has to take another step into his game. He's been great. He just came off of MVP, but kind of what James Harden did. James Harden had a great year when he won the MVP, but coming into last year, he could have won Most Improved Player. He upped his scoring by 6 or 7 points, and that's a huge jump when you're already averaging 29 points. So if Giannis can up his points or up his assists to a little bit, just another level of being a great player. So if he can do that, I think the Bucks team can challenge for that 1 seed, but the 2 seed is probably where they'll finish it. So yeah, let's get into the West, man. I'll start us off. So for the West, my surprise team in the West, I got the Dallas Mavericks. I think having Porzingis healthy, Luka, like I already told you, you already know what I expect from him. So I think them being on the team, they're gonna will this team to the 8 seed. They kind of started tanking in the last year. They let Luka rest a few games at the end. They wanted to really get their pick back. I don't think they were able to do that, but they started tanking it in the year. So the record from last year is completely a resemblance of actually how good the team was. But bringing in Porzingis, I think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a competitive team, but at number 8 for me, I got the San Antonio Spurs, man. They get DeJounte Murray back. DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, we know what we're getting from them. We can say what we want about what they are going to be in playoff time, but during the season, they're 2 vets who know how to win games and get buckets. You got Greg Popovich there. You bring back Rudy Gay, who's a much more efficient player now than he was earlier in his career. I like the Spurs at number 8.
Okay. Number 7, I have the Golden State Warriors. I think we're in for a pretty nice year from Steph Curry, but still a lot of questions around this team. I don't like the way this team has been moving all offseason, the way they got rid of Iguodala, the way they just got rid of Sean Livingston, which he pushed back his contract so they could be able to sign players and things like that, and then they end up waiving him. So a lot of it is just looks shady. I understand it's all business at the end of the day, but it just looks very shady if I'm looking at the Warriors. And this team, they're going to be missing Klay Thompson most of the year. So I think the 7 seed is where they're finished. They'll definitely struggle defensively, if you ask me.
It's crazy, but I agree 100%. I have Golden State at number 7 as well. I think Steph, Draymond, and D'Lo will get you to the playoffs. That Steph is still one of the most talented players we've ever seen in this league. Clearly the best shooter we've ever seen. Draymond is still a defensive player of the year type player. He can still do those type of things. It's going to be a big year for him. And I like D'Angelo Russell. Obviously, runner up to Most Improved Player. He can score from the outside. I think he'll fit seamlessly with the Warriors. I think their offense won't really be a problem. I think it'll be defense. And this Western Conference this year, where every team seems to have a duo, like we've already explained, it's going to be tough. You're going to be in for a lot of slug matches all night with different teams. So, yeah, I got Golden State at number 7.
Oh, yeah, don't get it fucked up. The Warriors still got All-Stars. They still technically have 4 All-Stars on their team. So
yeah, easily.
Yeah, I say even without them having Klay, they'll still have 3 out there. So they'll be competitive. But
definitely.
My 6 seed, I had to take this team down. I wanted to put them at the 2 seed. I moved them all the way down to the 6 seed. The Trailblazers. Okay. I think this team, they win a lot of regular season games, but at the end of the day, the teams I have ahead of them, I just feel like they'll be better. Dame, he's gonna do what he does. CJ, he's gonna do what he does. But the rest of his team, the reason I took them from 2 to 6 is because they lost Aminu and Hartless. And they really didn't replace them with too many. They didn't really replace those players. And those are 2 very, very solid defenders on this team. And you needed that when you have CJ and Dame, and they're doing so much on offense. They can only put so much energy out on the defensive side of the ball. So you bring in Whiteside, which, keep them pretty good. You bring in Nasir Little. They'll be all right, but I think this team, they'll take somewhat of a step back, at least throughout the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. Number 6, I have the Portland Trailblazers for all those reasons that you just said. I like the addition of Whiteside. I like Nasir Little, but I just think pretty much the reason I have them at number 6 is everybody above them, I believe, is better. So this is where I got them. So I'm not even gonna get into that. I got Portland at number 6.
Hey, Portland, go out there and get Kevin Love. Y'all listening? Go ahead and get Kevin Love. Y'all might be able to do something in the West, but. My 5th seed, I have the Utah Jazz. I think this team, they have a great starting five. You roll out a team that all these players play defense. Donovan Mitchell, like you said earlier, you get to move him to the shooting guard spot, so he doesn't have to take 25 shots a night to get you 26 points. So I like that. Mike Conley, he's extremely underrated in this league. So I'm glad to see him finally play some meaningful basketball. And you have Quinn Snyder, who's a very good coach in this league. So I have them as the 5th seed, and the top 4 is just tough. That's the only reason they're not in my top 5 or top 4.
So my number 5 team, and this is where things are going to get a little different. Number 5, I have the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh,
at number 5. I got them at number 5, and then I'll tell you what. God. Now look, I like the Clippers. I've already stated they've got the best duo in the league, but one half of that duo is going to be load managing it for a while. Are they going to be able to carry it without? I think the Clippers are one of those teams that are in a position where regular season doesn't matter. Their seeding doesn't matter. They're all about the playoffs. When you get Kawhi Leonard, that's what you're about. You're about the playoffs. So I think they're going to be the 5th seed. I don't think that's going to tell the story of how talented they are. No, I think they'll be the most dangerous team in the playoff. But I think at the end of the day, their playoff record, I think they'll be around that 5th seed right there.
Hey, all my Clipper fans, I know y'all out there now. All my Clipper fans,
there is
all
none.
my Clipper fans, get in the comments. Get in the comments. Get in the comments and let Michael hear.
Fans do you know?
Let him know y'all fans. Let him know y'all out here. I'm representing for the Clippers fans this year. All right, they gonna make some noise. All right.
You're talking to Laker fans. There's no Clipper fans. There's none. There's Kawhi fans, maybe. There's Paul George fans. Yeah. There's no such thing as a Clipper fan. I've never met one. Never.
Hey, they out there. You just gotta get out there a little bit more. You'll see them come out the woodworks this year, kind of like y'all Lakers fans. So for my 4th seed, I have the Lakers. I think the Lakers will be the 4th seed. I think kind of exactly what you said about the Clippers. You have a lot of load management. You have a veteran team, so they'll be cruising throughout the regular season. They'll want to get a good seed, but they're not gonna break their backs to get a top seed. They just want to be healthy come playoff time. And this coaching staff is something that's definitely a question, and the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, so at number 4, I have the same thing. I have the Lakers. I think we're going to get a first-round matchup with the Lakers and the Clippers this year, which will be crazy. But I got the Lakers at number 4 for all the reasons you said. We'll be load managing a lot. We're not going to really pick. I just had to stick with my pick that the Lakers were going to win more than the Clippers. So someone had to be 4, someone had to be 5. But I got the Lakers at 4.
Sounds like it's going to be a tiebreaker. The Lakers going to win 3-1 in the season series?
Hey, we got to. Got to.
You dreaming. But all right, my 3rd seed, I got the Clippers. I think the Clippers, not contrary to what Michael believes, this team is going to win a lot of games. They won 48 games without Paul George and Kawhi, and they really didn't they gave up Shai, they gave up Gallinari, but you bring in Kawhi, you bring in Paul George, they're well making up what those players brought. So they go from 48 wins to about a 54 win team. And I think they definitely get that 3 seed.
Yeah, so for me, number 3, my surprise team, the Utah Jazz. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. This is a good team, one of the best defensive teams in the league. Now you add Michael Conley. I love their starting lineup. If they're running it, Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Rudy Gobert, and then whoever at the 4. It don't even matter. Those 4 players I just named, I think this is going to be a defensive juggernaut in the league. I don't think they'll be the best team in the playoffs, even though they'll be the 3rd seed, but I think they're going to win a lot of regular season games. I think they'll be one of the best home teams in the league. So I got the Jazz at number 3.
Okay. So now the top 2. My number 1. This is who I got for number 1. I got the Denver Nuggets. I think the Denver Nuggets will do it this year. They're a great home team. I feel like another year of experience with this team. They had a pretty good playoff run. They got 14 games in 2 rounds, so they got a lot of games in. They played a couple of battle-tested teams. You had OKC and the Portland Trailblazers. So I think throughout the regular season, they're going to play great. I think they're going to fix some of those road woes that they had throughout the year, and they'll win just a few more road games, and as long as they stay consistent at home, they'll be fine. And for my 2 seed, I got my Houston Rockets. James Harden, Chris Paul, they'll figure it out. We're bringing back our starting 5, so there's a lot of continuity. And I think maybe make another move in free agency, get Kenneth Reed or something like that. They'll be fine. They'll win that 2 seed, like we've been saying. You have James Harden, you're gonna win 50+ games, and the rest is just how good the role players are and depending upon health. So I think the Rockets get that 2 seed and the Nuggets are my 1.
Yeah, our number 1 and our number 2 are exactly the same. I got Denver at number 1 and Houston at number 2. Denver at number 1. Them young boys is running. They got options everywhere. Everybody can shoot. They're bringing back Michael Porter Jr. and I'm expecting him to be healthy, so that's a plus. I like the addition of forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong. Jeremy Grant from OKC. Nice stretch 4. He can play defense. He can rebound. He can knock down an open 3. I think that's perfect. A perfect correlation to go along with Paul Millsap. Obviously, you have Murray, who just got the big contract, and you have Jokic there. So, I'm taking them as the number 1 seed. And number 2, like you said, Houston. Bringing back that starting 5. You can talk about their chemistry. You can say what you want. Hey, they're gonna win games. They're better. For all the flack that people have been giving Houston, we do realize that they only lose to the Warriors. That's it. Like everybody else, the Jazz, the Timberwolves, they knocked out the playoffs. They've beaten everybody. They handle everybody else. They've only struggled against the Warriors. So I like Houston. I think they're going to be the number 2 seed, and I think this is a year where they might just suck it up and just try to go for that championship just because of how wide open the West is.
For sure. Hey, you already know what's up with H-Town. We getting back into the championship. We about to get this chip.
This is a perfect time for y'all to just, it's time. It's time. James Harden, look, it's time to go ahead and get it done. The Warriors are not the Warriors.
It's time.
Yeah. But, thank you everybody for listening to episode 20 of Here's the Deal. That's all we got for you today. As usual, I am your host, Michael White. Thank you for whatever platform you're listening on, whether it be YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify. It doesn't matter. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. David, anything to say to the people?
I thank y'all guys for listening. We love you guys.
Yep. Oh, also, before we go, we always got to tell you, please go leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Go there, leave a 5-star review in the form of a question, and then we'll answer your question on our next episode once we get a certain amount of questions. So, again, go on iTunes, leave a 5-star review. In that 5-star review, write whatever question you want to get heard about, asked on air, and we're going to have a whole episode where we just do those mailbox questions. And follow our social medias. Twitter, where you can find us at HereIs_the_deal. Again, that is at HereIs_the_deal. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter. We're also found on Instagram at Here's the Deal 23_. Again, that's Here's the Deal 23_. Anything else? We good, Dave? You good?
Hey, everybody turn on those notifications, whichever platform you listen on. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, get the updates as soon as we drop, so y'all know y'all can listen to this great content. All right.
All right, y'all. Thanks for another one. See y'all next time.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Here's the Deal podcast. Tune in for next week's episode. And don't forget to add the Here's the Deal podcast Facebook and Twitter pages.